have dyslexia, which used to be a huge challenge for me, but now I see it as a strength. Hi, I'm Rune and I love learning and sharing things related to web design, development and accessibility. Today I'd like to tell you a bit more about my experience with dyslexia. So first, what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a learning disability that mainly affects a person's ability to master reading, writing and spelling skills. But it doesn't affect intelligence. In a dyslexic brain, areas are activated in a different way while reading and writing, and information can be processed differently. But dyslexic people are often stronger in things like reasoning and visual and creative activities. Worldwide, it is estimated that somewhere between 10 and 20% of the population has dyslexia. What was it like for me at first? Well, I was always a slow reader and I struggled with reading out loud in class. So I always felt stressed to be picked to read a paragraph because I knew I would have to pause frequently to read certain words letter by letter. And it also didn't help that even though my main subjects were math and science, I still had 4 language classes, being Dutch, French, English and German. I struggled with this because those were mainly tested by writing and reading. At the time, there wasn't really any support or processes for people with learning disabilities. But there was this one teacher who knew I was dyslexic. And for the first test in our course, he gave me an alternative. I am very grateful that he put in the extra effort to accommodate me, but that first time wasn't really a success. During the test, while all my classmates got their papers, I was skipped over and given a different set of papers at the end. My test was printed on A3 instead of the standard A4, making it twice as large as everybody else's. All my classmates saw it and I could sense their confusion and surprise. And to be honest, I was just as puzzled as they were. It also didn't help that every time I had to turn a page, it was with this loud, massive movement. Combine that with the small desks at a school, and it was actually more of a hassle than with a standard A4. By the way, what would have helped was just some extra time to read. That's all I needed. So, what changed? Well, I followed 2 years of language therapy, which involved writing exercises and tricks to tackle problems. Don't get me wrong, I still don't like reading in front of an audience. When I finished high school, I chose art school because I loved drawing, creating, and best of all, there were no language classes anymore. But then I discovered coding in my first year and it just clicked. I knew what I wanted to do. So I changed my field of study and focused on designing and developing. There was just one small problem. The languages were back. But things changed. I don't remember the exact moment I found my solution, but technology had a significant impact. I now use a screen reader every day for whatever I can. After a while you get better at following the words and you can crank up the speed. And then you reach a point that you're quicker than a fast reader. You also get faster at processing information, which becomes a huge advantage. For example, when I was studying for my Accessibility Core Competency Certificate, I could get through the curriculum way faster. This meant that I had more time to revise or just free time. Here is an example of some text at normal pace versus how I currently listen.
There's nothing behind me. I'm a witcher, I'd have heard it, just like I can hear your heart, which is pounding, like a liar's. There's nothing behind me, I'm a witcher, I'd have heard it, just like I can hear your heart, which is pounding, like a liar's.
My experiences helped me a lot in my work today, especially when it comes to things such as structure, title order, and visual breaks. They made me a better designer and developer, and I am glad I can help others with dyslexia or different disabilities to gather information as easily as possible. Disabilities aren't always as bad as we make them out to be, and I hope that with me sharing my experiences, that I can help others see them in a different light.